Hey guys, so I'm very happy to be back. I know it's been a while. I don't think I've posted anything or recorded anything since my little 4th of July reading vlog, which was really fun to do, and I'm glad I did it, and hopefully I can do more little weekend vlogs in the future. It was fun to put together, but yeah, I just wanted to come on here and get back into this. It's just been a busy week or two just with work and family obligations and things, but I have wanted to get back here and talk about things, so I'm excited, and I hope everyone's having a great Friday so far and has good plans for the weekend. I've had a good Friday so far. I got up this morning and got to go to hot yoga before work and worked for a while, and I made a little run to the used bookstore and got a couple things, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And so I just kind of wanted to see if I can film this quick before I go pick up my son and we make dinner and have a nice evening. So let's just get into it, I guess. First, I guess I'll talk about what I have been reading this week so far. And first, I'll talk about what I have been working through for Janeaustenjuly, and that is Emma. Emma is the last of Jane Austen's major 6 novels that I haven't read yet. So I know this has kind of been the community pick for Janeaustenjuly, but it was also on my list anyways, the one that I hadn't read yet. And my volume is divided up into 3 different volumes. I don't know if every edition is like that. I'm reading the Barnes & Noble Classic version. I will say I went into Emma with a fair amount of trepidation, I guess, because I had heard so many people don't like this. I had heard so many people don't like Emma because they dislike the character of Emma herself and find her so unlikable and distasteful that they don't like the novel. And so I think that's why I had avoided Emma for so long. But I also read Mansfield Park earlier this year, and I had also heard many people talk about how they didn't like Mansfield Park because they didn't like Fanny Price. And while I also did not necessarily care for Fanny Price, I loved Mansfield Park so much. So I have been so far pleasantly surprised in feeling the same way about Emma. I need to pick it up a little bit, but I have finished volume 1. So I'm not all that far into it. There's still plenty to come, but so far I've been pleasantly surprised by how much I've liked it. Like most people, I don't necessarily care for Emma, but I don't dislike her as much as I was led to believe that I might not like her. And I really like Mr. Knightley a lot. I don't know why people don't talk about Mr. Knightley as much as some of the other Jane Austen male love interests. So far I've been having a good time, and I'm hopeful that I will continue to like this, and I'll keep you updated as I finish it out for Janeaustenjuly. And next, I actually just finished this today. It is All Over But the Shoutin by Bragg, and this is a book that I actually read in high school for class. Most people probably did not have that experience, but I live in Alabama, and Bragg he's from small town, rural, poor Alabama in the northeast of the state. And this is his memoir. And so I think because of where we're located, we were assigned this book. But so I have read this book before, but the summer always feels like a time for me to read Southern books for some reason. Something about the heat and the humidity just seems to lend itself to reading Southern novels and Southern books. So I just kind of felt drawn to reread this again, partly because my parents have been cleaning out their attic and, of course, delivering to me all the things that were mine that I now need to take care of. And in some of that were some of my old books from high school, and this was one of them. And I actually listened to it on audiobook this time, which was nice. But this copy still has like all my old highlights from back in high school and things like that. But anyway, Rick Bragg was just a man who grew up in poor rural Alabama and became a journalist and made it to working for the New York Times and won a Pulitzer Prize for his journalism. And this book recounts the story of his growing up and of his parents and his mother. And it, for me, just personally, being from Alabama and living here, he does such a good job of painting a picture of what that life looked like. And I really, really enjoy Bragg's prose style. It's very easy to read. It speaks to me, really. So I really enjoyed listening to this again. It really just kind of gave me a little nostalgia that was nice. Lastly, for what I've been reading this week anyway, I have been reading The Wicked Day by Mary Stewart. This is the 4th novel in her Arthurian saga that I talked about in one of my other videos. The first 3 are The Crystal Cave, The Hollow Hills, and The Last Enchantment. And The Wicked Day, I almost feel like it could be I'm not even quite 100 pages in, but so far I almost feel like it could be a standalone novel. I think you could take the first 3 books as a trilogy and they can kind of stand on their own without this. At least that's how I feel right now. I'll give you an update once I'm actually finished. But the first 3 novels are all from the perspective of Merlin. And this novel is from the perspective of Mordred. And so far, he has just, he has grown up. He's been fostered by a family. He doesn't know who he is. He assumes his foster parents are his real parents. But through a chance encounter with another one of Morgoth's sons, Morgoth brings him into the royal sphere and lets him know that he's a prince, and he has not yet made it to Arthur, but that's coming, so we'll see. I'm kind of withholding judgment on this one right now. I could say nothing but good things about the first 3 books in her Arthurian saga that are all from Merlin's perspective. This one hasn't quite grabbed me in the same way or with the same magic that those first 3 held for me, but I have hope because the others were so good and this is Mary Stewart. So we'll give you an update once I'm farther into it, once I've finished it. I'll probably just do like a review on maybe the series as a whole video, but that's what I've been reading. And now maybe we can talk about the couple books I got at the used bookstore. First is Firelord by Parke Godwin. As I've mentioned in one of my previous videos, I have found that I really love Arthurian retellings in novels, and I kind of went on an online search trying to find other really good recommendations, and not many people mentioned this, but it did come up a few times, and all the reviews that I could find of it were wonderful. I believe this was published in 1980, so it's a little older, but I did manage to find it at my used bookstore. So when I saw it, I just snagged it because it was $2.95. So why not? So we'll see how this one goes, but I'm excited to put this one on my TBR later this year. Okay, and for some more kind of fantasy, I guess, picks, I found Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop and Heir to the Shadows, also by Anne Bishop. These are the first two books in her The Black Jewels trilogy, and I did see these recommended on, I think, Reddit somewhere as a good fantasy series. I saw some people say that these might have served as inspiration for Sarah J. Maas for some of her fantasy works. Okay, the first book in the series was published in 1998, and I just have a feeling like there's a lot of really good fantasy works that came out in the 90s and the 2000s that I missed, and that got overshadowed by the Harry Potters and the Twilights and the Hunger Games and all of those things. And I would really love to go back and find some of them and read them. So if y'all have any recommendations for fantasy novels that kind of came out around that time, or fantasy series that came out around that time that were maybe a little less known and talked about, I would love to hear about them. But excited to try these out and get to these. My used bookstore just happened to have the first two, so that's what I grabbed. And next I found another fantasy pick, The Summer Tree by Gavriel K. This is the first book in his Fionnevar tapestry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it is. I have never read Gavriel K, and I know that is a travesty, so here I am fixing it. Here we go. And because I've heard people talk about this series from him, and I really hardly know anything about it, but I've heard people talk about it, and I know Gavriel K is beloved, and he's someone I need to read, and so I figured when I saw it, I figured this was as good a one as any to pick up and try. So give me more recs for him. And last but not least, Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This has been on my list for quite a while to read. I just haven't had the time or space to tackle it, nor did I have a copy of it. And I knew this was one that I would want to own and not just check out from the library, I guess. But this is the first book in Hilary Mantel's trilogy about Thomas Cromwell. Everyone, I don't think I've heard a single person not love this or have any criticism of it as a novel. So I am really, really excited to read this, and I was really excited to find it because it's been hard to find like a good copy of it at my used bookstore. I've seen copies before, but I did specifically want this cover, and it was hard for me to find this cover. And so when I saw it today, I was really, really excited, and I grabbed it. And this is absolutely on my like upcoming historical fiction TBR. So really, really excited to finally get to this. If you loved it, or if you're one of those people who didn't like it, tell me why. I want to know. But yeah, so I'm just really excited about that. And that's everything I have read this week, everything I got, my little mini haul from the used bookstore today. And I think it's going to be a great weekend. I think we're going to have kind of a nice relaxing time. We might have my sister-in-law over for dinner tomorrow. I might grill some and play. So hopefully we'll just have some good relaxing times, get to read a little bit. So I hope the rest of y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.